Hey there, I'm Kevin Downey, and I run an agency called Kevin M. Downey, where we help companies with their recruiting, sales, and marketing efforts. You can visit our website at kevinmdowney.com. Okay, today's topic, B2B email marketing made simple. This is something that companies unfortunately get wrong 99+% of the time in trying to drive their reps' leads. They just don't get it right. And we have a solution for you in my agency with our email marketing training program, which is a one-day program where we train everything that is necessary for your team to be able to set up and properly run high volume, high powered email to drive inbound leads on a daily consistent flow, day after day after day, right? So I want to walk through, there's really only three things you need. The first one's the hardest part, right, for most companies. What I want to review quick is, in the infrastructure side, right, we need infrastructure that's built for volume. Most companies, when they go to do email, and when I'm not referring to HTML newsletter email, that is its own branding email that you may send to your customer list, your opt-in list, whatever. That's great. Keep doing that. It's great branding for your company. Keep staying in front of your prospects, right? But we're talking about cold outreach to drive inbound leads for your sales team or appointments. A lot of companies try to drive, do sequences and try to drive people to scheduled calls. Not going to be nearly as effective, much harder to do, but that's part of what I'm talking about, right? So what's the infrastructure we need for volume? So what most companies do in the United States is they run their email on their CRM. The CRMs, over 99.899%, are not built for high volume. Here's why. They only can usually tie into two kinds of email addresses, Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace, and you are sending the emails out through those individual email addresses and either Microsoft or Google's servers, right? So you're tying that singular email address in order to send any volume, because you're not going to send more than 20, 30 a day. You really shouldn't. Maybe 100 would be high. Through each of those email addresses. Well, to generate any kind of consistent response, you need to be sending thousands per day, 3 layers of 3,000, 6,000 emails a day. So when we use our CRM, the problem we run into is we have to send low volume on all these. We got to have a ton of email addresses. And the CRMs are not built to tie all those email addresses together into a singular campaign. So like if we have 100 email addresses, like you would do on a server structure, for example, and you use your CRM, you are going to have 100 email addresses with 100 separate lists and 100 separate mini campaigns. And then you have to check all of those inboxes individually. That is extraordinarily inefficient and very difficult way to run email. The human power to be able to manage that kind of campaign structure is very, very high, right? So what we want to do is we want to have the infrastructure that can run the volume. 3,000, 6,000 a day, right? So how do you do that? One of two ways that we have found to be the best setup. So you can do a system like Apollo combined with an email API, which allows you to send very high volume right through the email API. And then the second option would be very high numbers of email addresses, but all tied together in the CMS so that they are all sending in one campaign in unison, and all of the replies come into one unified inbox. Right? So for example, if we use a server system, say a MailReef, combine that with a CMS like SmartLead, now you can take 130 some domains, 100 email addresses, and you can have one campaign sending, like one managed campaign where all those email addresses are being used to send emails at, say, 25 emails a day each, right? And then we're looking to drive response, and those responses are all coming into one unified inbox. That's really important for the infrastructure to have one of those two running. Okay, so that's the hardest thing for most companies. They typically just aren't familiar with it, and therefore don't have that kind of structure in place. The second thing you need is targeted prospect lists, email lists, right? So whether you use ZoomInfo or Apollo or whatever you are looking at, you want to be able to build a targeted list, and you want to make sure that you can verify or validate those email addresses. Very important. You don't want to have a high bounce rate out of the gate when you're doing email. And then finally, you need copy that generates response. Short copy, very simple. Hey, do you have this pain point? If you do, we can help you solve it. This is a little bit about how. This is what I want you to do next. I want you to reply, and I'm going to send you this PDF or samples or price list or whatever it is we're putting out there for them to reply to receive What are we doing there? We're getting engagement in the email, which is good for the health of the infrastructure. The email infrastructure are necessary, right? Just giving them links to click to, A, doesn't work. B, that doesn't contribute to the health of the infrastructure nearly the same as getting replies. Replies are number one by far. Right? So you want to get the response for that reason. But the other thing that it does for your sales team is it allows you to identify decision maker and the fact that they have a pain point. So now you've got someone to call. So they reply back. Usually their phone number is going to be in there. If it's not, you could find it on an Apollo, for example. And you're getting that decision maker's info by name. You know their title in most cases, and you have identified that they have enough pain point to ask you, yeah, go ahead and send me that stuff. That is the secret to high-powered, successful email that can drive inbound leads on a daily lead flow. So if you're sending 6,000 a day, you want to see regular flow of leads coming in every single day. Okay, hopefully that helps. If you have any questions, you need help, reach out to us, kevinmdowney.com. Thanks for being here today. Really appreciate it. Best of luck in business, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks.